I realized I have free will. Now, this channel will have a drastic rearrangement. I will not be doing these daily podcast episodes anymore. I will be more talking about news in general, like gaming news, some drama, some live stream news, some political news. Now, here's the thing. This first episode will be very bare bones. Like, it will not have a lot of things that I wanted to keep in the first episode because I'm late on this. I'm just late. I'm currently recording this on the 15th of January. That is 4 days after I wanted to... No, 3 days after I wanted to initially release it. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I have been doing a lot of things. Now, the next episode, which is the second week, will hopefully feature some better stuff, like, not as bare bones, but the actual things that I wanted to do. Anyway, that's it. 37-year-old Spanish streamer Sergio Jimenez was found dead in his room, overdosing on almost a whole bottle of whiskey and 6 grams of cocaine. His body was discovered in the family home by his younger brother on the 31st December of 2025. The Spanish streamer has been taking medication for psychiatric problems. The drugs and the alcohol that were found in his room were funded by viewers. On the scene, they also found a couple of empty energy drink cans. Now, the overdoses itself is a pretty dumb thing to do. We can all agree on that. But I cannot believe how little empathy people on the internet have. Like, I get it. He basically offed himself. He basically killed himself. There was a suicide. But people do not realize that his younger brother found him dead in his room. That younger brother still lost his bigger brother. Do we not care about that at all? I just don't get it. I read hideous comments like celebrating his death. I was shocked to read that. So please, think 2 seconds before you write something. Like, put yourself into the perspective of the family, not into the perspective of the streamer. Again, what he did was stupid. We can agree on that. That was probably still a horrifying situation for the family, like a very horrifying situation. So please, think about the thing you want to write before you actually send it off, okay? Fortnite, the game that at this point has more crossovers than Super Smash Bros., seemingly has another crossover in the works. This time around, popular anime Chainsaw Man is next on the line. Speculations are that the skins will be Denji, Power, Aki, and Makima. The collab is coming in Chapter 7 according to leaks. Now, I don't play a lot of Fortnite, but hey, that sounds pretty cool. Again, Fortnite also keeps media alive, you know? Crossovers like this are always pretty cool. You don't have to like Fortnite. I still think the collabs are pretty cool. Popular IRL streamer iShowSpeed has started his tour in Africa. People are posting clips and comments on every platform expressing it's nice to see Speed show different cultures. Okay, some people were stupid. They were saying stuff like they didn't believe that Africa had normal housing or internet, but most of the people actually appreciated the difference in culture. Like just seeing the difference in culture, seeing the cultural aspects of Africa, which is nice to see. It's a mostly positive response with the usual negative comments sprinkled in, but the majority is really liking these IRL projects. You can think about Speed whatever you want. I think this thing he's doing is pretty cool. And he had a pretty good development from being a pretty annoying kid to a pretty grown-up person that can really show the beauties of this world. Legendary WoW streamer Swifty has been banned on Twitch, seemingly for unknown reasons. He and his small team are currently appealing the ban. His wife recently gave birth to a 2-week-old baby and is currently on maternity leave. Now that his main source of income is down, he opened a GoFundMe for the time being. His main YouTube account is still active, but not generating enough revenue for 2 adults and children. Can't really say much about that, as further developments are still to be awaited. Twitch apparently had hacker trouble with people getting access to account information and bypassing 2FA. This breach not only affected content creators, but also normal users as well, according to personal testimonies. However, Reddit was the source of these testimonies, so don't bank on it too much. So be careful and always check your accounts and your bank account. Maybe there is some suspicious activity going on. The country of Vietnam decided that unskippable ads that are longer than 5 seconds will soon be illegal. Following platforms are affected: YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, and online news publications. The law comes into effect February 15th this year. It will probably have a devastating effect for platforms that don't already have skippable ads in general. Platforms that have those already will probably just play more ads in a row or find other gray zones to abuse this new law. Some platforms might also withdraw from the region as Vietnam isn't the biggest market. More depressing information on the Epstein files. Apparently, only 12,285 documents totaling 125,575 pages have been released. Apparently, there's also way more than that. But nobody will face any charges or consequences anyway because we live in a pretty fucked up world. Release the fucking files. A witness to Wednesday's shooting in South Minneapolis told NPR News that she saw a federal agent shoot a woman several times. The woman was apparently told by an ICE agent to get out of here, as the quote says. As the woman turned around with her car, an ICE agent pulled out a gun and shot her 3 to 4 times. The corpse of the woman was still on the gas pedal, and it seemed like the car accelerated and traveled around 100 feet, hitting other cars and a utility pole before eventually stopping. The woman was later identified as Renee Nicole Good. Our condolences go out to our friends and family. May you rest in peace. You didn't deserve that. There is a leak about a new Life is Strange game going around. It seems to be called Life is Strange Reunion, and apparently it's again about a race against the clock to prevent a disaster. Microsoft wants to cut between 11,000 and 22,000 jobs in January, which would be about 5 to 10% of the current workforce there. The layoffs will hit people in multiple areas. Roles that have to do with AI are likely to be less at risk of being laid off. The layoffs will also apparently hit in the 3rd week of January. Microsoft communications lead said that the rumors about the layoffs are 100% made up, speculative, and wrong. Microsoft does tend to do that, so those rumors are very, very likely true. The United States made plans to seize Greenland, but the European allies will not accept it that easily. This could potentially lead to more conflict between EU and the USA, but let's just hope nothing dangerous happens. An originating analyst is 100% certain CD Projekt Red will release significant new content this year. Speculations are that it's a DLC focused on Ciri and might build up for Witcher 4, which is set to release in 2027. Again, just some rumors for now, nothing set in stone yet. A spoiler warning, please skip to this timestamp if you don't want to hear about the GTA 6 leaks. Apparently, the plotline revolves around Lucia abandoning a baby before attempting a robbery, which she gets arrested for. After a few years, Jason picks her up from prison, they plan another robbery, and they fall in love with each other. In the first mission, you have to track a plane as Jason, because that plane is carrying a Russian drug dealer Jason wants to get in contact with to start selling drugs. As they are chased by the police, the drugs fall into the ocean, and a follow-up mission requires diving into the ocean to find them. Now, onto gameplay mechanics. The 6-star wanted level makes a comeback. There is a relationship bar that supposedly works like the honor in Red Dead Redemption 2. Weight mechanics are a thing now. Prepare to fat roll. Explorable underwater areas with secrets and treasures exist. I can't wait to be eaten by sharks. Male strippers are now in the game as well. For more leaks, please check the video description. More on GTA 6. Jason Schreier, a video game journalist and author, has mentioned on his podcast that the content for GTA 6 is yet to be complete, according to his sources. That might mean another delay for GTA 6 coming this year. To be fair though, that's kind of expected. Kick streamer Life is Mizzy does a public prank trying to give a random man a fake ticket. The prank wasn't very subtle as the camera person was right there with her, filming the whole ordeal. The two walked away after the man didn't want to be on camera and talked about the situation in a condescending way. The man then later ran up to them again and threatened them to not just film people because there can be violent consequences for these actions. To be fair, the man did overreact, but streamers do tend to treat people like props, so I can understand this reaction, like being heard about just being on camera or just being filmed, without their consent being asked first. 2 people, a man and a woman, were shot by federal agents from the US Customs and Border Protection, also known as the CPB, in Portland. The people responsible for this also fled the scene before it could be investigated. The 2 shot people were luckily only injured and were transported to a hospital. With these healthcare prices, that might actually be the worst outcome. Again though, luckily nobody died. Grok is not allowed to generate images anymore by being tagged in conversations. However, that feature still seems to be available in private chats and is hidden behind a premium account. That doesn't take care of the root problem. Grok is still being used to make deepfakes of people without their consent. And even like erotica without their consent. California, Colorado, Illinois, Minnesota, and New York are suing because President Trump froze assets worth of $10 billion. The assets were frozen because of concerns about fraud in their welfare systems. These assets would have been originally used in childcare and family assistance funds. Texas hands over a complete list of registered voters to the Trump administration. This news happened shortly after Vice President J.D. Vance stated that ICE will be starting door-to-door operations soon. The implications for that are goddamn evil. I hope you all stay safe out there. A retired firefighter named Ken Jones was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic lung cancer in 2025. The treatment for the stage 4 lung cancer was denied by an insurance company called Blue Shield. Not a lot of protection there, it seems. Blue Shield took over from United Healthcare, ensuring many San Francisco City retirees, including firefighters. We sincerely hope that Ken Jones will receive the treatment, and does nobody remember what happened to the United Healthcare CEO, Blue Shield? Do you not remember what happened? Britain is considering to classify the circumcision of infants and children as child abuse. A draft policy document issued by the Crown Prosecution Service, also called CPS, classifies male circumcision as a potential form of child abuse. There have been cases where infants died after incorrectly performed circumcision. I mean, children and infants cannot really consent to the decision of circumcision, so it does kind of make it abuse. France has reportedly postponed this year's G7 summit in France in order to not conflict with US President Donald Trump's 18th birthday on June 14th. The meeting of G7 leaders was originally scheduled for June 14th to 16th and is now scheduled to start one day later, from June 15th to 17th. The Washington National Opera announced Friday that it will remove performances away from the Kennedy Center. This is another departure after President Trump's takeover of the US Capitol's leading performing arts venue. A statement from the opera mentioned that they will reduce its spring season and move performances to other venues, to ensure fiscal prudence and fulfill its obligations for a balanced budget. Retailer GameStop has reportedly closed hundreds of its stores in the United States. There are also reports that the company is planning to close its subsidiary in New Zealand. The cuts aren't just affecting the United States and New Zealand, as in recent years, GameStop has closed down operations in many countries. I mean, to be fair, physically owning games when Steam and Epic Games Launcher and stuff like that exists, it's pretty outdated. Kick streamer Convia and some people he was with during the stream were allegedly shot at 6 times on stream. Apparently, some people Convia had on stream before were dissing members of a certain gang, leading a member of that dissed gang to become violent. No major injuries or deaths were reported so far. That's good. Iran's security forces are using lethal force against protesters nationwide. The total number is unknown, but some estimates guess that 2,000 people have been killed in the last 48 hours. The internet shutdown that started on January 8th has made it impossible to obtain a full picture of the events on the ground. We hope that every innocent person there can stay safe. The Hilton Anatole in Dallas fired a Dallas TikTok user after she posted a viral video that claimed that ICE agents were staying on the property. The 20-year-old TikTok user was fired by the Hilton's third-party velvet company Town Park later that day after she refused to delete her videos. Further developments might still happen. Minneapolis police estimate tens of thousands were present at protests on Saturday, January 10th. Jacob Frey, mayor of Minneapolis, urges protesters to remain peaceful and not take the bait from Trump. There are over 1,000 rallies against ICE planned across the US. Fuck ICE. That's all I have to say. Only Use Me Blade, a streamer and content creator who became famous for Call of Duty knife-only content, gets arrested for publicly urinating. His content shifted from gameplay to drunk streams and has been involved in many controversies since. The stream recording shows the streamer being drunk and stumbling around prior to the incident. Some people are really stupid, but at least no one got hurt or died. And that is it for the first episode of Weekly Mochi Mail. I hope you like this little news format. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Should I talk more in depth about some topics? Do you not want as many serious topics? Should I talk more about like live stream drama or simple topics that are not as depressing as goddamn world politics? Should I focus more on other events and countries? This was very USA heavy for the first episode. I do know that. I did update my sources a bit. They should be also more focused on other countries as well now. Should I do this as a weekly series? Should I do that as a daily series? I could do that. Like, I would just do the daily news, basically, from what I can find. I will not, obviously not do, like, huge segments for everything, but I could do daily, or I could try it out. Let's just say I could try it out. I would not promise it, but I could try it out. I could also do short-form content if you would like to see that. I could just extract some news, some daily news, and also upload it as a normal video and short-form content. That's also possible. But yeah, I hope you like this little episode. Let me know in the comments. You're free to give me some criticism. If I can grow from that, that's perfect. So please, if you have something negative to say about this, like this wasn't objective enough, or don't do jokes when talking about stuff like that, or don't do like sarcastic remarks, go ahead and say it. I would love to hear criticism that I can actually improve with. Anyway, that's it. I hope you stay safe out there, and I hope that you have a nice day. Next episode, hopefully on time and with a better production service. Anyway, bye.